Hey, bless y'all, bless y'all, bless y'all. It's Pastor Muir here. Hey, as you can see the title of this video, where I said more and more continues to come to the surface. As y'all can see, my brother's on here, guest on the show today, Brother Brandon. And I wanted to bring him on here because if you remember, I did a video, I think it was last week or the week before, and I mentioned his name in the video. And I'm a firm believer, as well as pretty much all the other brothers that are here as well, because we spoke about it as a community as well here. And I'm a believer, and I know that what we're about to share today with y'all, if we'd have known this years ago and known what was really truly happening behind the scenes, that this brother would be here, him and his family would be here. Anybody that knows anything about Straitway as a ministry and Straitway Goshen here, they know that we are brothers that have followed the vision and continue to do it. And you can see the fruit of it here. But I want to put this out here before we even begin our discussion here today. Okay? Because obviously we have seen the firestorm that has erupted on YouTube and all of these different things. And a lot of the time, majority of the time, what you see is people that are commenting, people that are speaking, doing shows and all type of stuff who really are not eyewitnesses. And I spoke about this as well the other day about the importance. It's a reason why the Most High put in His commandments, thou shalt not bear false witness. Well, today is a eyewitness account. Okay, this is an eyewitness account. And let me say this before we even get into the discussion, because a lot of y'all do videos out here to just simply bash people. No, this video is not to bash Pastor Rufus, but this video is to bring out truth of what has actually taken place. You see, eyewitness accounts. All right. So we're going to jump off into this conversation. You know, the other day when I did that video, man, it was put on my heart, man, and I picked up the phone and I called Brother Brandon. Now, me and Brother Brandon hadn't spoke probably a little over 2 years?
2+ years.
Yeah. 2+ years. And Brother Brandon is one, and the brothers can vouch for it here as well. And the children and the sisters, everybody that's here can vouch, and they will tell you that Brother Brandon is one that has always been on my mind. Always. And I was prompted, and I said, you know what, let me call him, man. I picked up the phone, and before you know it, we was on the phone for well over an hour. And we were just speaking. And we started to speak about what is being shown out there. You know, the account or the witnesses, or let me not even say witnesses, the story that is going on out there is that Pastor Dowell simply kicked Pastor Rufus off the land in Georgia for getting in an argument with him. And that cannot be anything further from the truth. That is not the truth. And hopefully today we'll be able to shed more light on it. I will also say this. When I was on the phone with Brother Brandon the other day, a lot more started to get unearthed in our discussion. And what we did is we just ended up talking, and we went all the way back. And I'm going to just tell y'all and go all the way back, and I'm going to let Brother Brandon speak as well and just open this conversation up organically. I met Brother Brandon at the Hebrews to Negroes conference years ago. You know, I don't even remember the timestamp, but it was years and years ago. I met him and his family. And after that, he became a part of the ministry. And Brother Brandon was fellowshipping down in Georgia with Pastor Rufus in the community down there. Now, Brother Brandon, I didn't know really anything other than where I met Brother Brandon at was the Hebrews and Negro. He then expressed how he wanted to come and visit. So he came up and brought his family and enjoyed the time that they were here. And he went back down to Georgia. Now, at the next feast, Brother Brandon had made it known. And he said, look, I want to be up there with y'all. We were a brand new community at this point. I mean, we didn't even clear not even a few trees at this point, nothing. Brand new community. He said, man, I want to be up there with y'all because there was a lot of things in common. Obviously, we're younger brothers working hard, but even the past life, right, of football and working out and these things, we had a lot in common. And I expressed to Brother Brandon, basically, I don't even make decisions like that. But he said, no, I get it. I want to speak to Pastor. And if I remember, it was an evening. It was during the feast, and we went inside, and he got Pastor Dowell, and he got Pastor Rufus, and they came outside, and it was us four, and we had a discussion. Now, Brother Brandon had been fellowshipping in Georgia for a while prior to that,
right?
And when we went outside, he made it known. He said, hey, he expressed how his interest is to come up here, and not only to come up here, but to be a part of what was taking place up here. And Pastor Dowell at the time said, hey, it's not that big of a deal. It's not like you're leaving the ministry or anything. You're just relocating to another part of the ministry. And Pastor Dowell said he had no issues with it. At the time, during that meeting, Pastor Rufus literally did not say a word. He sat there, he listened, and Pastor Dowell and everything what Pastor Dowell said, and boom, everything started to move from there. From that point, Brother Brandon started to communicate with me in his process. And what I mean his process was he was selling everything. He was getting his house ready so he can sell his house and so he can move up. So fast forward through that time as him getting everything, he puts his house up. He's letting me know, hey, my house, I just put it on the market. Boom, my house sold. Getting ready to do this paperwork. I mean, even down to the day to where Brother Brandon was getting ready to move. Literally, I remember him saying we was packing up the U-Haul and everything, getting ready to drive up. Now, that day, I remember it was a morning, and that day, I had called Pastor Rufus, at the time, Elder Rufus, and I was letting him know, hey, Brother Brandon is getting ready to come up. He's getting ready to drive up here. Boom, boom, boom. At that point, he had patched Pastor Dowell in on the conversation. So it was us three on the phone. And as he patched Pastor Dowell and Pastor Dowell came on the phone, Brother Brandon, I'm not Brother Brandon, but Elder Rufus became extremely adamant about why Brother Brandon was not ready for community. Exact words. He's not ready for no community. He'll come on a community. He's going to mess it up. That brother is selfish. All that brother cares about is lifting weights and fishing. Is exactly what was said. Now, at this time, I'm on the phone like, okay, the timing is horrible because this brother had just sold his home. And now what's going to happen? And obviously on the phone, he said, well, we need to get him. He needs to move close to this is how we do it in Straitway. He needs to move close to the community, and then we'll see what pans out from there. Now, I will say this. In this ministry, yes, that's how it does go usually, but there has been situations where people have moved right on different communities. It's literally varies. So Pastor Dowell being on the phone at the time really didn't say too much, but Pastor Dowell always makes a statement where he says, I trust my leaders until I can't trust them, or they give me reason not to trust them. So at the time, if you think about it, Brother Brandon is only really truly known, or you can say somebody that time with him by Pastor Rufus and the Georgia Saints. And Pastor Dowell's way in Tennessee. I'm way up here in Indiana. So we only can really go off of the account and testimony of what Elder Rufus was saying at the time. So Pastor Dowell saying, okay, on the phone, he said, well, he's listening to the testimony come from Elder Rufus, and he said, hey, well, basically it sounds like he's not ready. Now I'm like, all right. So I get off the phone and I call Brother Brandon. Now, mind you, this man is on his way. And I tell him, hey, look, bro, when you get here, we got to find you a place. And you're not going to be on the community just as yet. And just work hard, do what you got to do, and then you will be on community. Now, that was one of the hardest phone conversations I had had. Reason being, because I'm like, damn, I'm trying to put myself in that place. Like, I literally just sold everything, sold my home. I'm thinking I'm going to be on community. The leader of the community I'm going to is telling me this whole time, yeah, you're going to be on the community. And then all of a sudden, you're not there. You've already sold your home, and he had a nice home. And then all of a sudden, now you're not on the community. Well, obviously, that will start somebody off on the wrong foot. Because it's not like it's him by himself. It's him and it's his family. Well, come to find out, when he got here, I remember at the time when he got here, everything was love. But I even remember the night he got here. And I remember I was coming up my office, and we had shared this on the phone. But I was coming up my office, and I remember I was just seeing him sitting on the couch out in the living room, and he was just going through it. And he was just wondering, like, man, what did I do wrong? What am I saying? What have I done? Type of deal. And right then again, I reassured him, like, hey, bro, you're here now. Just do what you got to do. And you're going to be on the community here when that happens. Now, at that point, he's looking for another home, and a home in town in the rural area where we live at. So you can imagine the things that is going through his mind. And fast forward from there, I made a statement to him the other day, and looked at it and I said, bro, how in the world would he have ever even been successful? The man was bit. And there was so much venom there because he was bit. Bro, how was that man gonna make it? How, like how at that point? Moving all the way up here and everything that I just explained. And Brother Brandon shared something with me the other day on the phone that absolutely blew my mind. I understand why he didn't tell me now, but I made the statement to him like, man, I wish he'd have told me. But again, I understand why he didn't. And I want to show y'all how conniving and how I can't even put a word to this, how sneaky and just troublesome that this statement was that he made to me. Because again, when I got on the phone, Pastor Rufus was the one that was adamant about this man not being on nobody's community. And then come to find out, Brandon had a conversation with Pastor Rufus after that. And to hear what he said after that blew my mind, because I did a video prior to this the other day, but I didn't put it out because I ended up speaking to Brother Brandon. But the statement he made was just mind-blowing to me. Because after that, he got on the phone, and obviously you can imagine, he's probably telling him, like, I thought I was about to be on community. I sold my house. I'm on my way up here. Boom, boom, boom. And then to hear Pastor Rufus say, he just told you that, speaking to me, saying that he can't be on community. He just told you that? Oh, that's not how we operate in this ministry. That thing blew my mind. Because now what does that truly do? That puts a sour taste in Brother Brandon's mouth, in his family's mouth. That makes me look like a liar. That makes Pastor Dowell look like a liar. Those are the things that can only transpire. Can you imagine the mindset? I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did. And that's where I'm gonna let Brother Brandon pick it up from there, because I want y'all to hear his experience of when he was down in Georgia from the beginning and after, and then coming up here as well. And we're gonna divert, and I'm gonna jump in every now and then and ask questions as well, and let y'all hear from Brother Brandon. Brother Brandon, is everything that I shared so far accurate?
100% accurate.
All right, so you go ahead, and I want the people to hear from your mouth.
All right, so I'm just going to fill in the details. Bless you all to Israel. It sucks of how all of this transpired, and it really has hurt a lot of people just in my family, and I know it's a whole slew of other people. But I'm just going to give my account of what actually happened of my time with Elder Rufus. At the time, it was Pastor Rufus, like Dane said, this is not a session of where we're just going to bash Elder Rufus. I'm gonna just tell you of my experience with Elder Rufus at the time, or what I had to deal with. So I want all Israel and anyone who hears this video to think, oh, he's just doing this video so he can get back to Straitway, or he's just trying to get back in the favor of Daniel. Me and Pastor haven't spoke any of that whatsoever, right? We just have talked and found out, looking hindsight 2020, and then patching stories together of what actually really happened that really led to my demise of being kicked out of this ministry. Really, it started from Elder Rufus, from Pastor Rufus. So I just want everyone to be all ears and just to hear what I have to say, because my family has really heard it from this, and it wasn't just about me and Daniel. This started even before me and Daniel. So just the beginning with it, came into the ministry, know anything about Pastor Dowell from Hebrews Negroes Conference. Really didn't know Pastor Dowell was really the guest speaker or the one who was the main focus of that. I just came to truth by Ron Donald Jr. about who we were as a people. Mind you, I was in Savannah, Georgia, right? So there's a lot of rich history about who we are, a lot of slave history, things of that nature. So I was already like, kind of coming into the truth of like, where do our people come from, stuff like that. So I went to that conference with Ronald Don. Pastor Dowell was there. Pastor Dowell spoke. And then we went on a kind of like a boat cruise thing. The boat didn't leave, but, we done a major ceremony on this big boat, this yacht that was there. And Pastor Dowell saw me. Pastor Dowell and the brothers, I guess, saw me, and they took interest to me. And the brothers and Pastor Dowell came up to me, and just inquired about me, about this and about that, about who I am, where I'm from, and things of that nature. And he said, hey, put your number in my phone. After that, I was really intrigued about the ministry. When I heard Pastor speak, he done a message about giving all at the Hebrews Negroes Conference. My wife was there, and we swallowed it hook, line, and sinker. Like, it made so much sense. Mind you, at this Hebrews and Negroes Conference, there's many other different, if you want to say, Hebrew branches that was there, selling merchandise, giving messages, things of that nature. But I felt in my spirit that I was really inclined to go and talk with Pastor and inquire more about their situation as for what do they do as for community. So fast forward, Hebrews Negroes Conference is done with. I'm trying to get in contact with who is the closest community to where I'm at, because I want to fellowship. And just a little bit extra information. I'm a PK. I'm a pastor's kid. I grew up in Christianity. My father's a pastor still to this day. So coming into the truth of seeing Pastor Dowell was really intriguing, right? It's really intriguing about community, about fellowship. So I was real headstrong about, hey, man, we need to get in fellowship. So Straitway, Georgia was the closest community to me. They was roughly around about 6 hours. But I didn't care. I called Elder Rufus. I talked with Elder Rufus a couple times. Pastor Rufus at that time. Elder Rufus at the time. And then he said, "Okay, brother, hey, you can come up and visit." So the first time I come up and visit, right, I get to find out more about the community, find out more about Straitway. We fellowship, and everything was kosher. Everything was great. It was much love. As soon as I get out of my car, I remember it. All of the brothers were standing outside. I mean, they was grabbing all of my luggage, my suitcases, everything. That was giving me hugs. I mean, it was just so overwhelming. Where I was like, "Yo, I'm here actually with Israel," and everything was just beautiful. So then I started to fellowship with Georgia multiple times. Even though I'm 6 hours away, I was driving 6 hours, sometimes 3 weeks in a row. I would say average just about every other weekend, I would drive up to Georgia, spend 2 or 3 days with those brothers. I would drive up there on, if you want to say Friday, have fellowship on, do Shabbat, and then on first day, Sunday, I would go work with them on their building projects or their whatever they had going, different houses they was building. And that's what I was doing up until Tabernacles. Tabernacles, I believe, was late September, October that year. And late September, October that year, I believe it, if Daniel correct me, I believe it is that's when I met Pastor Dan. He was Brother Dan then. He was the leader of the community of Straitway. Straitway, India was very, very new. I believe it was that feast of where I met him. And I took a huge liking. I saw him and Brother Rob, he's Elder Rob now. Mind you, I did not know nothing about Dan play football. I knew who Rob Mathis was, but it didn't connect necessarily when I saw him. I just saw two brothers walking down. There's a road that leads from Pastor's house, and they was walking up that road, and I just saw both these brothers, man, and I was like, yo, and he can attest to this. I was just like, yo, who are y'all? Like, it was just the way they walked, the way they talked, their clothes that they wore. I won't say it was different than what I saw at Straitway. It just that it was just something of like a tip of the spear to me. It just looked like, bro, this is, I feel good, about maybe joining them or just inquire about them. And Daniel could attest to that. I just talked to him. And I was just kind of like, man, wow. And they started telling me about, a new community, who they are, things of that nature. Mind you, a lot of people would say, oh, you want to go up there because of brothers NFL or anything like that. I know nothing about none of that stuff. I didn't know anything about. I know who Rob Mathis is. I didn't know nothing about the Rob Mathis just football player. Nor do even today do I care. You can ask Rob Mathis. I don't treat Rob Mathis like that. I've been around many NFL players. I was D1 athlete. I had NFL scouts looking at me the whole 9 yards. Not to take anything from him, but I wasn't like this starstruck person of what people would like to say that I had heard. Oh, you want to go up there because of some NFL players and stuff like that. And it was like, no, absolutely not. My spirit just gel with them, and I want to let them know that. And it's like, hey, I am not stuck at no community. I don't know how communities are. I don't know how they rock things. I know I visit this community here for the last couple of months, but hey, man, I would like to visit y'all and possibly go up to there. So basically that was happening. And I told Daniel, and Daniel said, hey, you need to talk with Pastor Dowell. You need to get Elder Rufus, because Elder Rufus at that time he's a leader over Straitway, Georgia, who I've been fellowshipping with. This was that August. The Hebrews and Negroes Conference was in, I believe it was I want to say late June, early July. This was mid-August, mid-August when I went down to Straitway, Georgia, right, and been fellowshipping with them, and then Tabernacles is late September, October. So I've been fellowshipping with Georgia a lot. I was going in there every single week. So Brother Dan at the time said, hey, man, talk to Pastor, put him to the side, tell him, what you feeling, you know what I mean? And I didn't at that time. A day or two went by. This is at the feast. This is my first feast I've ever been with Israel. And then a couple days go by, we're down at the dining hall, and Brother Dan comes and said, hey, bro, have you talked to Pastor Dowell yet? Like, have you talked to him? I said, man, I haven't. No, he said, hey, man, let's talk to Pastor Dowell. So he went to Pastor Dowell. We came out of the dining hall, and then all of us went out there. It was Elder Rufus, it was Brother Dan at that time, it was Pastor Dowell, and it was me. with some other brothers doing security, and we talked about it. And Brother Dan broke it off and just said, "Hey man, this brother is really feeling, in his spirit that he belongs up here at Straitway Indy. Pastor, what do you say about that?" Pastor Dowell, in all, Pastor Dowell said, "Hey man, you still with Straitway, and like you trying to go to another ministry in another community, something like that." But he basically said, "Yes, we're good to go." Elder Rufus didn't say anything really too much about that of the conversation. And we had that meeting right outside the dining hall. It wasn't too long, 5 minutes maybe, and then it was over. Pastor Dowell saying, "Hey, yeah, it's totally fine. Yeah, you go up to Indy." Mind you, this was right late September, October sometime frame. Now this is where everything starts to change, right? As for I'm getting tons of love. Me and my family is driving 6 hours every week, every other week. You know what I mean? Wife is working. Uh, just so much that was going on. It was such a strain on my family to pack them up every week in and week out to go to Georgia, right? It was times me and my wife would get into it about certain things because it was like, yo, this is hard, But I was like, man, this is a people of Israel. We got to go down there. We got to go down there. But she yielded, and she would keep going every single time. So this is 6 hour drive. This is not just pick up. This is she would get off work. I would get done with my work, we get done, and then we literally drive down to 6 hours, get down there at nightfall just about. And we was doing this, me and my 3 young children that I had. Everything was kosher. And I was telling Dan, right, up until that feast, everything was great. There was so much love. When somebody is talking good about you, or they want to be around you, if they don't. We all know that. We grown. This ain't, this ain't elementary. So I have that meeting with Dan, Pastor Dowell, and Elder Rufus outside the dining hall, right? Everything was kosher. Everything was straight. Pastor Dowell gave his blessing. The next time I come down to Georgia, it was totally different. Whether the brothers want to attest to this or not, it was totally different. It was not of what I had before. And there was comments of saying, oh, you jumping tribe. Mind you, I haven't told none of the brothers any of this. The brothers don't know absolutely nothing. I just had the meeting with just Elder Rufus and Pastor Dowell and Brother Daniel. And it's like, you jumping tribe, here in Straitway, when whoever you fellowship with, that's who you going, if you go in the community, that's who you're going to be with. And I'm thinking, where is all of this coming from? Like, what are y'all talking about? Obviously, you've been privy to some information, right, that's been said about me that I don't know of, right? I don't think that this is a big deal. We're all Israel, right? Y'all say that all these different communities are Israel. And I start to get a cold shoulder from the brothers, whether they would admit it or not. I started to get a cold shoulder from Elder Rufus, and I started to get a cold shoulder from those brothers as for, oh, you're trying to jump ship. You're trying to go down to Indy. You can't just pick where you want to go, and I'm like, man, I'm lost. I'm a babe in this, right? We're saying babe in Christianity. I'm a babe in this. That's for this truth. So I'm real, if you want to say, push back of, what is going on here? I met some guys that's in Israel that I want to go and build with. What's the problem? And I won't name names. Everyone knows who's down at Straitway, Georgia. But it started to be a strain. It started to be a strain where my wife even saw, my Ish even saw, where she's still getting that exact same love from everybody. The great love, you can tell that attention to her needs, things of that nature. And me, I'm over here just freaking like, what's going on here? But I know that these are the people, but I'm a babe in this. So I just keep going. 6 hours, week in, week out, I keep driving down there. Hey, we just got to keep going. We just got to keep going. We just got to keep going. And it would be like that every single time. So then I will start volunteering myself as for taking their children, because they know that I do like to fish. I love to fish. I love being out in the woods. I love nature. So I would just, thinking in my mind, how can I get in good graces? So I started taking the boys. I would take them, got permission from their family, from their mothers and fathers, and I would take the boys and I would teach them how to fish, because I'm trying to get this way in to show, hey man, I don't got no ulterior motives. I'm not a sneaky brother. I'm not this. I'm not that. Right? You can trust me the same way how I would die for my little daughter. I would die for your son if something happened when they're in my care. And I start taking them on trails and taking them how to fish and taking them how to do all of these different things, which was a really good thing. But I would still see and still hear the comments from brothers. Oh, you ain't with us. Oh, no, you want to go over there. You know what I mean? I'm like, brother, it's cool. Like, you know what I mean? What's the big problem? So basically that goes on, right? Starting after Tabernacles was that October. So we're talking about November, December. Straitway calls it the dead season in the winter, right? Up until Passover, right? Where I'm sensing all of this change of like, hey, what's going on? And then COVID hits 2020. And I get in contact with a brother from who visited Straitway, Georgia, Brother Brent. And I go down to Brother Brent's house for 30 days because everything basically shut down in COVID. And he says, hey, man, you can come up here if you want to come up here, whatever, we'll figure everything out. So I go up to Brother Brent's, and Brother Brent lives in Tennessee, but I believe he lives in Tennessee, but it's like right over the border. It's not that far. It's not, from where Straitway, Georgia. It's like an hour, 10 minutes from Straitway, Georgia. And I visit Brother Brent. I go down there. I work real hard. Brother Brent was one of the only brothers who didn't. I know he was getting all the information that has been said over these months of me, but Brother Brent didn't treat me any different. He was a good brother. He put me in his house. He fed me. I worked on his land, cut down a tons of trees. There was a tornado that came through, and I just basically worked on his land for like 30 days. And then Straitway, Georgia had a building project that was 2 hours away that I helped him with as well. But everything was kosher. But when I would visit Straitway, Georgia, mind you, I'm still driving down there every other week. It would be this cold shoulder towards me. So that happens, and then right after that, when I'm visiting Brother Brent, I get in contact with Brother Daniel, like, hey, man, I would like to come down to Straitway, Indy, right? Can I come down there? I'm not too far away from you. Brother Daniel basically gives me yes, and I come down there and visit Brother Daniel, and everything is great. We go down there. As soon as I get there, they're working, and I believe I spent about 6 or 7 days down with Brother Daniel. Brother Daniel, he put me up. And I just try to work hard. I just try to show, hey, I have value towards what you're bringing. So I just tried to work the hardest that I could work, and everything was good. I gelled with the brothers. Everything was just like, yo, this is where I'm supposed to be at, and everything was straight. I leave Brother Daniel, and then Brother Daniel calls me about a week later or so. He says, hey, are you going to Pentecost? Are you going Straitway for Pentecost? And I was like, man, I wasn't thinking about it. It's kind of out of the way. But, if you brothers is going down there, I said to Brother Daniel, hey, man, you know what? I'll go ahead and make the sacrifice. I'll come down to Pentecost. And that's when I went down to Pentecost. And what my account, that's when everything like hit the fan, as for the cold shoulder turned back on with everyone in the ministry. Necessarily with guys that I never even met that I knew of, but I felt like in that Pentecost that I was walking around that Pentecost like by myself, and wifey was enjoying it. Everyone's coming up to her, she giving us so much love, but this whole time I'm thinking, what is going on? I've been feeling this in Georgia for the last 3, 4, 5 months, right? While I've been in Georgia, I was like, man, what's going on? But I keep going. But then when I went to Pentecost, that is where I believe even some of the indie brothers, then I believe that they gave me a cold shoulder, but not knowing what everything's going on. But during that whole time, I felt like I was just by myself doing Pentecost. I got rebuked by Pastor Dowell. Mind you, I don't have for Pastor Dowell. I have a lot of Elder Roof, have a lot of Dan. I had hardly any conversation one-on-one with Pastor Dowell. Down at the dining hall, I get severely rebuked. Pastor Dowell, and I'm just kind of like, what is going on here? I don't know what's going on here. Now, hindsight 2020, now we know what's going on is at the time, Elder Roof was about me the whole time.
Brandon, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
You kind of breaking up a little bit. You said the last thing you said was, now we understand what was going on.
Yes, sir. I said, now I understand what was going on at that Pentecost. Now I understand why I was getting such a cold shoulder. Is because of basically what was being spewed about me from Elder Rufus, right? Mind you, Elder Rufus haven't spoke to me about anything. So we're only talking about at that time what I was sensing in my spirit of, hey man, this ministry don't rock with me. I don't know what's going on, but ever since Georgia, ever since I told Daniel, Brother Dan, and Pastor Dowell at Roots, hey man, I really would like to be up there with Indy. Something seems weird. Something just seemed weird. I went from a brother who, Pastor, we're doing a lift off with Brother Dan and Pastor Dowell. We Pastor Dowell in the middle of the night. We all celebrating because we had a feast. We go and we lift weights. Who can lift the most? Just good competition, good fellowship, just brothers being brothers. Not like, oh, you're Pastor Dowell. We're just like, man, this feels awesome. So much love to all of a sudden. Now I'm getting grins from brothers, from leaders. And I'm like, what is going on? Now this is months later. So basically, talking to Brother Dan Pentecost, I feel like that something's going on, something's going definitely in the spirit. Pastor Dowell gives me a heavy rebuke. I don't even really speak to Pastor Dowell. I don't even know how Pastor Dowell even rebuked me in front of everyone, in front of the dining hall, but I take it and I accept it. So then that is when me and Brother Daniel's communication start increasing a lot, because I'm like, I'm selling my home. Yay, I'm going to sell my home. I'm going to do renovations on my home, and then I'm going to sell my home. And then once I sell my home, hey, I'm going to come down to Indy. And Daniel, me and him talking with Pastor Dowell, everything like that, Daniel said, yeah, brother, you would be on community. Not move close and then fellowship and be on community. Once we test you out, we fill out your spirit. No, it was, I'm selling my 2-story home in Georgia, right? Basically Savannah, Georgia, really nice spot, middle upper class house, to all the way to Indiana, not in the city of Logansport, that little town. No, I'm about to move on land. They got anywhere from 180 to 110 acres or something like that. Right? Cool. I'm on the community. So now after Pentecost, Brother Daniel at the time know this, and Elder Rufus. So this is around Pentecost time. So I got around about 4 or 5 months of where I'm doing renovations on my house, right? My wife painted the whole house, the inside, right? I'm doing renovations on the outside of the house. Fixing so much different things. We had a pipe that bust that I had to renovate and bring guys in. We're renovating this house for months. Mind you, Elder Rufus knows this at the exact same time. And I'm still, every other weekend, still going down there fellowshipping with them. Tell Brother Dan said, hey man, keep me in the loop of everything. And I would keep him in the loop of everything. Hey man, I got this done. I got that done. This is months now. This isn't 20, 30 days. This is months that I'm renovating my house, even before it even goes on I put it up for sale. So once I get everything renovated, right, mind you, still communicating with Dan, still communicating with Elder Roof. I've seen Elder Rufus about every 2 or 3 weeks, and even more than that. Put my house up for sale, and boom, the mug sell. Boom, it sell fast, right? I let Dan know, let Elder know, man, I'm in 30 days closing, right? Still finishing up this and that. Make a story short, up until right before we closed on the house, 30 days, the house is sold. Boom. I have no other place to leave. Tomorrow, I have no place to stay. I am driving down to Indianapolis. Brother Dan, with his communication, I will be on community. I got a massive U-Haul with all of my stuff that I haven't sold yet, just beds, stuff like that. I'm coming down to Indianapolis to be on community with Brother Dan, the new community they had. And then I receive a call from Brother Dan at the time. And he says, hey, man, this is a hard conversation. And mind you, I'm thinking, it's a hard conversation. Everything's been kosher. Everything has been good. It's a hard conversation, man. But I got to let you know, Pastor Dowell said that you ain't going to be on community, that you can move up here and get a spot here in fellowship, but you can't come up to community. And right then and there, that is where I felt, I don't want to say betrayed, But I felt I made the bad move. I made a bad decision. Because, man, I just packed up this whole house. I just sold my whole house. I'm moving my wife and 3 children. I got a nice home. I was coming to live on a community that already have homes. Now you tell me right now I'm about to jump on the road. You're not going to be on community, that I'm going to have to go get a place in Logansport? Mind you, I have no cards to play. My house is sold. I can't go back to, I want to sell my house. And I'm thinking in my mind, I tell my wife, if I wasn't ready to be on community, why wouldn't they just say this months ago before I even put my house up? What's the point? Why'd you say, bro, you're not ready to be on community? There's a lot of sacrifices, a lot of this, a lot of that, this. You're not ready. Keep visiting, keep fellowshipping with Straitway, Georgia, and then we will assess you as you go. No, once I let y'all know that my house is 30 days, I'm in closing 30 days, and I'm about to get on the road, you say, no, you're not going to be in community. I felt very slighted. My wife felt very slighted of why would they do this? And not why would they do this? Why would Pastor Dowell do this? Because Brother Daniel's the one who told me. Brother Daniel said, Pastor Dowell said, I'm not ready for being on community. And that right there, heading to Indy, that was, I believe it was a 9.5-hour drive. And it was a very quiet drive. I was like, yo, what did I just do, man? Like, what did I just do? So I already had it in my heart that, yo, they got me. Like, they work. They don't, nah, this ain't a way how you do things, Come to find out, talking with Brother Dan, now we have found out that, no, that wasn't my recommendation. That wasn't Pastor Dowell's recommendation. That was Elder Rufus at the time. That's what he said, which blew me for a loop because I've been fellowshipping with Elder Rufus the last 3-4 months. He's been knowing that I want to go up to Indy. Why haven't Elder Rufus just pulled me to the side and said, hey, brother, hey, you're not ready to be on community at Indy. And that's the recommendation I'm going to give. Hey, if you go up to Indy, it's going to be on you going up to Indy, but you're not going to that community. He never said any of this. Talking with Dan now, he said, man, that was all Elder Rufus' recommendation. And I told Dan, how was that Elder's recommendation? I called Elder Rufus after that meeting with Dan when he said, hey, bro, you ain't going to be on that. I said, well, I just got some information. I don't know if it was that day or the next day. I just got some information that I'm not going to be on community. I just sold my house. And Elder Rufus said, wait, what? He said, you just going to, you about to go to Indy, you ain't going to be on community. I said, yeah, Dan said I'm not going to be in community. He said, no, brother. He said, no, brother, that's wrong. That's not how we do things here in Straitway. So I'm thinking, bro, this came straight from Dan and Pastor Dowell. And I'm like, what in my mind, what could I have done? Where's the rebuke? Where is any correction? Brother, you need to work on this. Brother, you need to work on this. You need to work on this. Nothing. So I'm thinking, what the hell would Pastor Dowell say that? Fast forward, I get down to Indy. Just like Daniel said, he saw me. I get down there, and it was like that first day or so. I'm on the couch, and I'm just like, yo, I don't know. What have I just done? Like, what have I just done? He said, I got to get a spot in Logansport. I go driving in Logansport, and not to say anything bad about Logansport, Indiana, but it's a meth town. It's not like a prospering town. I don't think
it's way out in the stick, in the boonies, and you got a bunch of rural. Let's say that
rural. Yeah, it just. So it's like, what? Wait. I'm about to leave Sunnyside, Georgia, and I'm about to go stay over here. In my mind, why wouldn't Daniel? And I'm looking at Daniel. Why wouldn't Daniel let me know this? Because I don't know nothing about Elder Rufus. Why wouldn't Daniel let me know this 30 days ago? My wife, why would they do this? If we wasn't ready, then why wouldn't they just tell us months as we've been preparing all of this? Bro, you ain't ready. That you're not going to, you're going to let very, which made it hard.
You're kind of breaking up again.
It at a very at Daniel, all of this from Daniel, right? So see with Daniel.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, brother? Can you hear me?
I can, let me, you know what? Let me turn this on.
As you're fixing that, I want to, if you can still hear me, can you still hear
Yeah,
me?
I can hear you.
I want to backtrack just a little bit because, again, this is the importance of even the statement that I made earlier. Well, Pastor Dowell always makes a statement. He said, I'm going to trust my leaders until they show me I can't trust them, or until I can't trust them. And anybody who's been a part of this ministry and even can attest out of his own mouth, Pastor Rufus, this is something he always said. He was chief elder, the pastor, he's the closest one to pastor, and all of these things. So again, you are listening to your leaders, you are trusting the word of your leaders. And when you hear the things that were spewed later on, right? Because there were even things that was said about us up here in the presence of Brother Brandon when he was in Georgia at the time, which was, it's just like, wow. But now again, looking at it, hindsight being 2020, it was the same thing that he was doing to him the whole time. He was down there spewing in the brothers' ears. And then when you look at the brothers, right? So here's the thing. Stuff is being spoken. Stuff is being spewed about a brother who is coming every other week. He doesn't live on the community down there in Georgia. So what does that put in the mindset of the brothers? Automatically, what did that put in the mindset? You know what? Well, my leader is saying X, Y, and Z about this, bro. Now you're looking. Now you're watching a little different. Because your leader, who's entrusted, who is famed in Israel, amongst the people, is saying something different about him. Now, that is spewed in the mind of the brothers. And what does that do? It's just like the word said. When you see what Yah says in Proverbs 6:16, there was discord that was sown amongst the brothers. And it wasn't from a layman. This is coming from a leader.
That's not spoken to me.
That wasn't spoken to him.
Wasn't said anything to me. That's the thing. If you would have came to me and said something, I talked with this brother. Nah, this brother's on this. Okay, cool. But nothing was never said to me. Sorry to interject.
No, you're right. Nothing was said to him. And then not only are you down there spewing in their ears about Brother Brandon, but at the same token, I'm gonna ask you this, because there was stuff spewed about me. Because again, when I was at the leadership meeting a couple months now, I guess, ago, when there was a statement made to two different elders by Pastor Rufus. You see, at the time when I was told these things by Brother Brandon that was being spewed about us brothers up here, I didn't say nothing. In fact, I told the brothers here, obviously it's unfortunate, but what we're going to do is we're going to love harder. We're going to love harder. And that is exactly what we said and what we did. But when I was at the leadership meeting and two different elders came and told me what Pastor Rufus had spoken of me, now I got two witnesses. So now I went straight to Pastor Rufus and I showed him a text of what he texted me after I went down the Straitway to preach. And I said, wait a minute, these two elders just told me this less than 10, 20 minutes ago. And this is what you text me. What is it? You see? But now it confirms, and I told him it confirms what two brothers, one of them being Brother Brandon, had told me years ago that you were doing, talking about the brothers up here with really no knowledge of how we operate and what we do and what we do up here. Brother Brandon, would you elaborate on that?
100%. Pastor Rufus, you know that I am not lying. The brothers at Georgia know that I am not lying, that I'm not bearing false witness. After I told them of that tabernacles, that I let Pastor Dan them know, hey man, I would like to go up there. There was a lot of things that was said. I don't even remember all of the things, but there was just so much communication, not just with Elder Rufus, but with some of the brothers as well, right? About negative things about this new community. Now we're looking at it. We know hindsight. I know what y'all was trying to do. You was trying to deter me from that community. And specifically out of Elder Rufus' mind you, everyone, I'm a PK kid. I've been around church all the time. We know how nasty the church can be. So I know about backbiting. I know about bearing false witness and stuff, all of that stuff. My dad's a pastor. I heard out of Elder Rufus' mouth, they're talking about Straitway Indy, right? The brothers getting started up there. And he said, a comment was made, oh, you want to go through because those brothers NFL, right? Mind you, I don't care nothing about none of that. And that was by me and another brother. And out of Pastor Rufus' mouth, elder at that time, he said, Brother Daniel, man, he was a scrub. He was a bench woman. He didn't play. And I immediately, my head shot over at Elder Rufus immediately, because I in my mind, I could not understand why would a leader in Israel over a community say something. Mind you, I'm new into Israel. I'm green into Israel. I was thinking in my mind at that time on that deck, why would you say that? Why would you say such a derogatory thing about that brother over there? Why would you even say anything in a negative manner towards another brother in Israel? Mind you, I know how hard it is to get into the NFL because I tried to get into the NFL and didn't make it. And I know how much hard work that it took for me to even get to the point of where I was at, let alone to spend 5, 6, 7 something years in the NFL. For you to say that, it really made me know then, oh, bro, I don't want to be down here. I don't want to be down here in Straitway, Georgia. Because why would you say such a negative thing about a brother who spent years in the league? I don't care if he didn't play a one down. We know it is for you to stay in the league multiple years. You're in the league multiple years, 4, 5. You in the league multiple years, bro. They see some value. Most people, less than 1% of 1%, don't make it to the NFL who play football, and that is why I did not want to be in Georgia. He said, man, them brothers don't know how to build nothing down there. Why you go down there? Them brothers don't know how to do this. Them brothers don't know how to do that. And I'm sitting back on the deck, and I'm not saying anything. I'm just sitting back thinking, why is this man talking so bad about these dudes up here? Like, why would you? I haven't heard not one positive thing. Hey, man, them brothers came in. Man, them brothers gave all. Man, these brothers have this. These brothers have that. This is what they're doing. I didn't hear not one thing come out of Pastor Rufus' mouth positively about going up to the Indy. Mind you, this is my whole time of where I'm transitioning of, hey man, I want to go up to Indy. I've let it be known. You know what I mean? This is why I say the brothers start to turn on me as a cold shoulder. I start hearing things of this nature every time I would go down there. I don't remember all the things, but it was such a negative connotation of like, hey man, you trying to jump tribe to this tribe and talking bad things about these brothers right here. And that what sealed the deal. Not that I want to go to Indy, but that I want to get out of Georgia. That is why I want to get out of Georgia, because I saw that. I saw that, man, you talk bad about them and these brothers ain't here. Because would you say that in front of brother Daniel's face? Like, would you say that? No. And if you would have said it in front of his face, why would you? Why would I? Why would I say, man, you was a scrub? Why would I say that? You my brother. Brother, love, tender care towards each other. Why would you? So it didn't make no sense at all, of it. And that is what sealed the deal for me of that, man, nah, I don't want to be down here in Georgia. Not so much that I had to go to Indy, but I don't want to be here. And that's why I say now it's hindsight 2020. Now everything is coming out, right, about what the Saints was going through down there. No, I didn't want to just jump. I didn't want to jump on that ship. I didn't want to be on that ship. I saw how them brothers how they worked together. I saw how them brothers would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, leave at 4:30, drive 2 hours to Atlanta, work 10, 12 hours, drive 2 hours back home just to get a hot plate of food and go to bed and do it again. While Elder Rufus he went and played basketball.
Hold on. Look at okay. Because remember, so this is what even in the conversation. Pastor Dowell, during the whole speech to the ministry, again, quoted many times by saying, I'm starting from the leaders straight down. His big thing was about work ethic and about things needing to be done. Y'all heard what he just said. The brother's working 4 o'clock in the morning, driving 2 hours, working for 10, 12 hours, coming back, driving 2 hours, and Pastor Rufus is gone playing basketball. You see? Now, that again, that's a eyewitness account, because this was the thing that Pastor Dowell told Pastor Rufus. He talked to him about his work ethic and his work ethic among the brothers down there. And the thing that gets me about it is, even with the testimony video from this almost 5-hour video meeting that we had, the testimony of the brothers down there in Georgia said the same thing. They said the same thing about his work ethic. They said the same thing about him not being around. He comes, show, pop up, do a video, and he's gone. They said the same thing about what they were receiving money-wise, which is amazing how the internet flipped and turned that whole thing and said, oh, that's what Pastor Dowell was giving them $100 and taking their whole check. And this is so amazing to me, because because they would love using Brother Victor's testimony. But Brother Victor told y'all in the same testimony, my family is fine. We're well taken care of. And he said how they function. But then they'll bring up accounts from, 10, 15 years ago or more, saying, oh, Pastor Dowell was giving $100 or $50. But they forget it, at that time, Pastor Dowell was living in a trailer with no running water. That he drilled a hole in the floor and put a tub that he found on the side of the road there. So, of course, he was giving and providing and dishing out the community on based off what they had. But you can't find the testimony of that now. I saw Jingo, or whatever his name is, he come out and say, oh, well, Pastor Dowell's giving him this, and he's building a 13,000 square foot home, which is not the size, but even then, and the saints still live in trailers. And I saw Pastor Rufus comment, oh, there's still saints living in trailers. I said, you got to be kidding me. Anybody who's been to the land knows majority of, if not all, the saints that are down there live in homes and are well off. That land is beautiful from the minute you drive in to the minute you leave it.
It is.
Houses everywhere, work being done everywhere, things being built, gardens. The children are in good spirits. The saints are just happy. You see it. But again, this is what's being reported based off of people who ain't never even been there. And then what you have is the same thing, Pastor Rufus, that wants to sow discord. And this is what an accusation can do. This is what you being a leader in Israel, you literally a leader in Israel, and you're spewing in the ears of the saints. You're spewing this mess and this garbage in the ears of the saints. This is a dangerous, extremely dangerous, because I want to break off into this, because in the phone conversation the other day, you were expressing to me how that hurt your family. And I told you in the phone conversation, I said, I was going to talk to the saints here about it. And that night I did. I went in the dining hall and I spoke to all of the saints. I spoke to the whole community. Man, you wouldn't believe, man, tears. Sisters crying, brothers just shaking their head, putting their head down, just upset, especially when the children being mentioned. My sons ask about Brother Brandon's children all the time. All the time. And I think back at this, and again, like my statement that was in the beginning, man, that brother and his family would still be here to this day, 100%. Prospering. Not saying he's not prospering now, because the man works hard, but they would have still been here to this day, prospering. We would have been still building on this land the way we're doing, if he had not gotten bit the way he gotten bit. and then to the sneakiness to turn around and be that adamant on that phone conversation about why that brother is not ready to be on land and how selfish he is and how he only cares about lifting weights and fishing. But then only that, but to get on the phone right after that and to act like you're surprised and say, oh, he just told you that?
Yo, come on, man.
That's not how we operate.
Come on.
Literally, I just got off the phone with you. I didn't want to make that phone call. And again, on that phone call, Pastor Dowell, literally trusting his leader, said, okay, why? Because his leader has an account of him. Because he's the one that spent the most time with him. And when you look back at this, I think about the locker room, right? I think about when you have good head coaches, right? Opposed to bad head coaches. A good head coach can see what is going on with their team that they have lost, right? And he'll turn around and he'll put it on himself. The media, the coach didn't even have to say nothing. The media will put it on the head coach. See? So what happened even in this situation, a lot of people are out on the internet and they're spewing stuff about Pastor Dowell for trusting the people that let's say it in the sense of football, his offensive coordinator or his defensive coordinator. And he's sitting there and he's taking this mess and he's just sitting there and he's listening and people coming out with all type of just falsehood and lies. But the truth of the matter is the ones that he trusted was the one that prompted this thing. This whole fiasco and mess is coming from a man that he trusted to do right.
Yes.
Here's the thing. Immediately after he found out that this leader will not do right, not only by the saints, but by all these reports that were starting to come, that were coming out. He immediately made a change. He immediately said, and I remember it, and you can see it in the video, he said, we have been grossly misrepresented. He said grossly misrepresented. And not only did he say that, he also made a statement where he said that this should have never taken place because that is not the way that we operate. That is not the way the communities operate. I gave y'all a testimony in that same video of how we operate here. The saints in Kentucky can give you testimonies. The saints in Praiseland can give you testimonies. States in all these communities, well, the Christian they can give you testimonies. The saints can give you of their manner of life. And it wasn't what we hear in Georgia, that we heard in Georgia. Them saints were extremely bit, and they were lorded over. I remember I read it in Sirach, where he said that that their leader will start to see themselves as thyself. Pastor Rufus thought of himself on the level of Pastor Dowell, and then he will lord over your servants. Well, look at what was taking place. You're going to tell me the people didn't live in some type of fear and in tyranny because of what was going on? This is extreme, and that is why when the testimony of what the saints were dealing with were coming out, that is why he was removed immediately. Immediately.
And to interject, if I can.
Yeah.
This is why I did not want to be at.
Try to adjust it a little bit more, Brandon. It's starting to break up a little again.
This was the number one. Elder Rufus was the number one reason why I did not want to be with Straitway, Georgia. So all these accounts that has been unfolded, this is what I had seen during that time. So to Pastor Rufus, I've already communicated with him and reached out to him and told him, man, I forgive you of everything that you've done when he put that video out. Whatever, I move on. No point in me. But this was the exact reason of why I did not want to come down there. It was because I never saw you work. When the only time I saw Pastor Rufus work, the only time was during the very first time I visited Straitway, right? I had the Hebrews and Negroes. The very first time I went down to Straitway, Georgia, which is the closest community, just so happened those couple of days I was down there, Pastor Dowell was coming down. help building a house for a mother that's on land down there. And we worked hard on this land. And he was, if you want to say, he was like Pastor Dowell's assistant right there everywhere Pastor Dowell went, right? So it was like, man, this is good. This is how these brothers work. I've only been here for 2 or 3 days. Man, this is awesome. Pastor Dowell came down. Everybody worked. Pastor Dowell worked. Man, we don't even got a floor in here. They know how to, he know how to put in floors. He know how to, just everything. That was the only time that I ever seen Pastor Rufus do anything as for working, as for picking up block, laying block, mud, anything physical, mowing the lawn, a chainsaw. There was nothing else that I saw. And I had a conversation with my wife and said, if the leader here at this location would only show up to do work when a higher leader comes, everybody down under would be freaking worked to the bone. That is not a true leader. A leader will get out in front, but you only going to get out in front when someone who's higher than you, now you want to get out and work. It shows now, bro, you not meant for leadership. Everybody is not meant for leadership. Because just like I told Daniel, being in leadership, you have to do the Michael Jordan thing, is what I call it. What did he do? They said he was the first one in the gym and he was the last one in the gym. And that's what a leader has to do, which requires so much on the leader. So I never seen others work. All those hours, those days where I would drive 6.5 hours to go and do fellowship, we would go work on first day. They got building projects in Atlanta. They got so much stuff they go drive down and go do. Elder Rufus didn't go not one time. Even when we just went down the street to Mama Jaja's house to work on first day for 4 or 5 hours, Elder Rufus stayed in the house, right at the main trailer. So I'm like, okay, I may get, that you didn't drive all the way, you didn't ride with us all the way down here to do this project. But I was like, yo, this is less than 2-3 minutes away. Why can't we go? Why can't you come and do work at Mother Jaja's house? I mean, Mother's house. Why can't you come do work down here? So it showed, Pastor Rufus, you taking advantage of your leadership. You're taking advantage because if any other brother done that, he would get rebuked very hard. Like, what do you think? You can't just, walk like that. And me seeing that with the testimony of other saints, that is why I did not want to be down in Georgia. Not nothing personal. I just didn't see a strong leader who stepped out in front. Well, I don't want to be a leader who's going to push so hard down on me, but you ain't going to require that for yourself. Sorry to interject, Dan.
No, that because again, that is vital information because that's vital information because when you consider this is what he's been out on the internet, in quote, making statements such as, remember, there was no other communities until Straitway, Georgia. When you make statements and he says, I, in quote, I and the brethren built Straitway, Georgia.
No, man. No.
And you hear these comments and it's like, whoa. So when y'all are out on the internet and they say, well, how could Pastor Dowell just get rid of somebody after 14 years of service and he just getting rid of them like that? No, there's a whole lot that went into this. Nobody was a part of these hours and hours and hours of meetings, scouring through this very word to make sure that we doing things correctly. Nobody was a part of the testimonies of hearing he didn't work. I remember, I can tell y'all, I told y'all the projects we've been on. I have seen Pastor Rufus lay one block, literally one, in every project we've ever been a part of. He laid one block. I saw him lay on his house, but all those blocks got taken up because we had to do the corners over again. And the whole time we were there laying block, he was out and about, leaving, going, and saying, oh, I'm running errands. Or he's around and he's literally not tying no rebar. He ain't mixing no mud. He ain't striking no walls. He's just barking out commands to people.
Yep.
That is the truth.
That's the truth. Pastor Rufus, that's the truth. That's not an exaggeration. That is the truth. And you can't try to smooth that over and say, oh no, I was doing this and that. No, this is years of what we saw. And I just had about 8-9 months of saying it where it was just kind of like, no. So that is the truth. When Pastor Rufus see this, right? I'm not slandering you or nothing. That is the truth of that.
That's true, because it's not only you. It's not only you that can say that.
Right.
I'm a witness. We built the freezer building here. The storage building we built here. He didn't lay no block here. We was in Alabama building the building. He laid not one block there. He didn't tie no rebar. He didn't mix no mud. Pastor Corey was out there mixing mud. Down there cutting rebar, doing all this stuff with the saints. That's what Pastor Corey was doing. And the thing we know about Pastor Dowell is Pastor Dowell just ain't finna jump all over you for all of y'all to think contrary and think that, oh, that's how he is when you see him in the dynamic of preaching. Pastor Dowell is one that's going to show you because he's doing it. Pastor Dowell on these work sites getting it. He's on these work sites getting it. And when you see, again, was the reason he was that he was removed from leadership because he didn't work hard? No, that was part of it.
An argument.
No, it wasn't just an argument like y'all think out there.
No.
There's because there was a gross misrepresentation. There was sowing discord amongst the brethren. There was slander. There was gossip going on all over the place. And now we had audio of all of this, the countless meetings that was going on, just slandering all over the place. And he was doing the saints wrong when it comes to their well-being, as they said out of their mouth. But everybody wants to ignore it.
No,
everybody wants to ignore it.
Right. It was like, no, everything was assessed. My report was assessed. Like, wait, this happened. That happened to that sister. That happened to that brother. That happened to that brother. Under your leadership, that is the things that has happened that was taken into account that says, we're not kicking you out of the ministry, right? It is, you're not deserving of leadership. And that's what it said that they'll talk about. As for Daniel is a major house, a big house that's on Straitway, Indy. They have a downstairs that's massive. I mean, it's massive. Got 3 rooms, a major, if you want to say, living room. They got a media room where it was not kicked out of the ministry, which is wrong of what you said. No, we are moving you and you're out of leadership. That Pastor Rufus is not saying. It's like, no, we just saw you're grossly not needed, like that you shouldn't be in leadership, but we're going to move you here. And that is what I think that hits, where it's kind of like, bro, you didn't tell us that, man. You know what I mean? You're not just a good leader. You're not a good leader. Pastor Dowell saying, hey, dog, you're not going to be in leadership anymore. And then, hey, you're going to come down here with all of your children and wives and everything. You will still have a nice, very comfortable spot to live out your days. And that you didn't say that to us, man. Oh, he just begged Georgia. Oh, he kicked me out the ministry, or he said I can't be in the ministry. It's like, dude, it wasn't that. It was what I saw years prior of how you led me, and I saw with the other brothers that you're just not supposed to be in leadership. And boom, here is the judgment of that. And that's why I think that I know for a fact that just wasn't said. So
no, and you're absolutely correct. And here's the thing, Pastor Dowell's not going to go out and say that,
right?
Because he doesn't have to. He didn't jump to the gun and say, "Wait a minute, I did." He didn't. But the truth of the matter is, again, when he said, "I cannot, in all good conscience, leave this man in leadership,"
right?
When Pastor Dowell made that statement, the first thing he did after that was going to search where him and his family could be moved to. So y'all with these stories of, oh, he just kicked him out and he did him wrong. No, man, that's not the truth. He literally had a 3-bedroom house down in another community with a nice trailer that's right next to it as well. We also discussed here, and it is 3 bedrooms that are huge down here, and another one that we added. So there's 2 living room spaces down here. full bathroom that we all discussed. And thoroughly we're discussing. See, this is the stuff that folk out there that don't know, but what they're doing is they just go and they just spew what they don't know. Right. Nobody knows this vital information because, again, it's not going to be spoken out there. Why didn't Pastor Rufus say it? Why didn't Elder Craigo say it? Elder Craigo was in the same meeting when we were discussing it. You see? So again, this whole ordeal has been fabricated. And I wanted to come out here today because, again, as you know, more and more stuff just keeps coming out. More and more testimonies of saints. And when you see hindsight being 2020, you're like, wow. Because now you're even being able to see more and more clear. And this is why Pastor Dowell said it, Pastor Corey said it, all of the leadership has said it. I said it as well. Israel, we have to speak up. Okay? We have to make sure that we are speaking up. Pastor says it all the time. Israel, you don't speak up. You need to speak up. We need to speak. And I know he usually says it in the context of prayer and declaring your day and these certain things, but he's also speaking about speaking. Speak up. Use your mouth. Speak up when you see these things wrong, because again, what will end up happening is you'll find out a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years later down the road, you've been under tyranny. And you're afraid because you're like, Dad, what's going to happen to me? Because again, when you see, I've seen, and anybody can attest to it, that's been in this ministry. When it comes to somebody, if they're found out that they're doing something that is wrong, or there's something that is egregious that says, you know what, we cannot fellowship with you no more, or you need to sit before the ecclesiastical council and this thing needs to get rectified. Anybody in this ministry can tell you Pastor Rufus is usually the most passionate one. He's usually the first one jumping up, telling folk what he'll do to them, and that, and the third, and all type of mess. Like I laughed at a couple weeks ago when he said that he'll smoke me and Pastor Corey, and I just bust out laughing. I said, Dang, I was tempted to pick up the phone and call him and say, what type of training should we be doing? So I can make sure I'm ready for our fight. Like, come on now. Because again, I wouldn't lay a hand on Pastor Rufus. One, because he's my senior. And two, I would never lay a hand on that man unless he rolls his hand to me. Period. And he knows that because he knows my character. You see? So again, this is a eyewitness account. And here it is coming. This is exactly what Pastor's been saying. This man doesn't work. This man has breached several levels egregiously in his leadership and dealing with, here it is, Yah's sheep. And that's why in no good conscience he said it. I cannot leave this man in leadership. You got folk with testimony saying I was working 72 hours only for him to turn around and give me $20. What? Coming and giving you thousands of dollars and they get back $50? $50 a week? What? But it's amazing how the internet flipped that and said that's what Pastor Dowell is doing, which is not the case. And the saints down there told you that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I can attest to something. During COVID, Pastor Rufus know I'm telling the truth. Brother Vernon know I'm telling the truth. And Brother Mike, all the brothers down there. There was a project that Brother Vernon was able to get go forth. It was a 60+K job that we had to do. It really went from around like 85 or 100. The owner was talking about, but when he heard our price, he said that he's going to do it. We built this massive barn for him. It's just a real massive barn. That I know for a fact. Vernon said that job cost $60,000+. We was out there for weeks. I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks that we were out there. This is the attest to the money that Brother Vernon and them brothers brought in. That was $60K in 3 weeks that we was out there. Not only that, I didn't see Elder Rufus not one time come out there and lay not one. He didn't do not one single thing those 3 weeks. Elder Rufus, Pastor Rufus, you know I'm not telling a lie. You did not come out there and we say it amongst ourselves as for the workers, like, you know, we're Pastor Rufus, but that's it. You know what? We don't really say it, but we're saying it like it's literally this thing was very, very hard to do with only we had like 5 or 6 brothers average building this. It took us like 3 weeks. Not only I'm saying eyewitness, I attest of how much that building cost. Oh, I mean that job cost. And man, I didn't see you not one time out there building that, Pastor Rufus. You didn't do not one thing. Also, I want to say this just real quick. As for bit, was I bit? I was 100% bit coming down to Indy. I was bit towards Daniel. I was bit for Pastor Dowell. I just didn't trust. I couldn't open up. I felt all of this love, and then it kind of turned cold shoulder. I felt like with Georgia, those months of me leading up, and then in Indy, I felt that there was still that cold shoulder in Indy that I felt with the brothers. So I did not open up. I was very obstinate against Dan. As for what just happened, as for just sold my house, you're going to try to tell me right before I'm about to leave that I can't be on land. It's like you set me up. But I'm looking at you, that you set me up. Why'd you do that? Why wouldn't you tell me this month before? So me getting, if you want to say, kicked out of Straitway, yes, I'm not saying I'm not an innocent person. Just at the same time, I'm telling you I'm not bashing on the Rufus. I'm just telling you the facts. 100%, because I'm like, bro, I can't trust you. If you would make this major decision, if you would make a decision off of, I just done this for months. You talking about moving another state, a state I never even been in, moving my entire family, and then, bro, Daniel, you want to tell me right before I'm about to get on the road? So no, yes, I was a headache. Daniel said, hey man, we need to do this. And I was obstinate, and I was that. But at the same time, I was bit. I felt like the Elder Rufus, I know that he spit venom on my name down at the Indy Brothers, down at Georgia Brothers, and also at Pastor as well, without my say. So when I say that I'm not with Straitway, I'm not trying to say that, Elder Rufus, Pastor Rufus just done all of these things. I do believe that it was a lot of things that was slighted, and that I just went down the trail of it because I was bit. But I definitely do believe, I know for a fact it was started because of venom that was sent, and that this really hurt my family greatly because, right, we didn't have nobody else. I was down I left Georgia, went down there to Indy, and my family, my wife jailed with the sisters. My sons and daughters jailed with their sons and their daughters, right? And then abruptly, right, I was down there. What was I down there? About a year and a half or so?
Yeah, about year and a half, 2 years or something like that.
2 years. So you're talking about a lot of gelling, right? With a lot of me being obstinate as well, because I have this in my mind. You know, if this is how you operate certain things, so I'm trying to work through it, but I'm a babe in this, and I'm tripping over myself, and I'm just still thinking like, bro, why would you do this to me? This came from you. But when everything all said and done of how everything transfolded, and now I'm not in the ministry, right? I believe it started from the voice of Pastor Rufus that came up until my demise. Like, man, you hurt us. You hurt this family greatly, whether you take accountable for that or not, because without your words of what me and Pastor Dan was saying, without the influence of your words towards these people, I believe they would have been the exact same way of my first feast of where me and Dan, we met with Pastor Dowell and the whole brothers, and we was in that gym lifting, and we was just praising. We had a great time. Everything was straight. But if somebody come and spew some stuff about this person in your ear who is a leader, right, then of course that you're going to side, you're going to lean more towards that leader. But at the same time, that leader haven't came and said nothing to that person about what he may feel is with this person. That is the thing. Bro, Elder Rufus, why didn't you just come and say, if you felt something about, you think that I'm this with my Facebook post, or you think that I'm this with how I'm operating? No, you wouldn't say nothing to me, but you would say it to everyone else and up in leadership with the other brothers. So now, of course, other brothers they're going in Georgia, it's going to be a slight thing. You know what I mean? And I wish other brothers would come in and say it. But of course, y'all was influenced by Elder Rufus of what he had said at that time that made me kind of get defensive. And then now Daniel says what Daniel says when I'm about to move up there about, hey, you ain't gonna be on community. Now I'm like, yo, what is going? Wait, I just sold my crib, bro. Why you let me know?
With no other option at that point.
Yeah, I don't got no other option. I got to go up there. Of course, I'm gonna come bit. Of course, I'm gonna come like, I ain't trusting this cat. I'm not gonna trust Rob. I'm not gonna trust these dudes. So I'm like, so I'm taking my accountability of what I done, right? And what I got to repent for and what I had to grow through as well. But I just want to say that, man, just with my family alone, man, you hurt us to this day with what you said to Pastor Dowell and Daniel and spew this. Man, you hurt us to this day, hurt. I just had to celebrate Passover just with my family, not with all the congregation. Do I still got brothers and stuff that I communicate with here and there? But I'm talking about my all the way down to Benjamin. Everybody knows Benjamin, right? He's very soft-hearted. You just got a great spirit on him. Don't understand these things as for in one day, boom, done. Now you can't talk to them no more.
Jesus.
Doesn't understand that. It's still to this day, it doesn't resonate in his mind. So then that puts him, man, it puts him in such an awkward position. My daughter didn't have no, she in Straitway Goshen had 1 or 2 girls that would come and visit, but it wasn't a lot. But she clung to those 2 girls because, the boys got somebody to go play with, but my daughter didn't. So then she could be with the sisters and she could be with the other 2 little girls. And as that community grows, so she's building soul ties with these people and going to these people and stuff like that. My oldest son, he loves Daniel's oldest son. He just, for some reason, he just clicked with his older son, maybe because he's a little older, but he clicked with him. Okay, one day, that just cut. Come on, man. You don't know what you've done to me. You don't know what you've done. That's to my wife. You know what I mean? Of so much damage control, right? Because when it's all said and done, Pastor Rufus, you was offended that I met these brothers and I jailed with them. And you was offended that I did not want to be under your leadership. Now, I did not be in Georgia, and I said I want to go there. So since you was offended, you bit me, and you spewed venom towards everybody else, man. You did not give me a fair report. You did not give a fair report to the leaders up higher or to everyone else because you was offended. And mind you, Pastor Rufus, you didn't say nothing to me, man. You never came and said, "Hey, bro, what's up with this right here, bro? Man, you got to talk."
Well, he be quick to tell you. He'll come say stuff to your face.
And yeah, exactly.
He be quick to say that type stuff, man.
So I just want to get that out there. I don't really got too much more to say, but I want to get that out there as a Pastor Rufus. You never came to me not one time on none of these things, or that you were spewing with all the other brothers, and for the other brothers to know, man, he never came to me and said nothing about this. He never came and rebuked me. I never got not one rebuke from Pastor Rufus. And I've been, mind you, I was going down there week in, week out. I never got one thing about, hey, man, let me pull you to the side. Let me talk to you about this, bro. What you got going on right here? You never said not one thing. But you would go say it to Pastor Dowell. You go say it to the brothers in Indy, or you go say it to Georgia. While I'm just saying, why am I getting these cold shoulders? It all came from you. It came from you. And you never said nothing to me. But like I said, I communicated and I said, hey, man, dude, I got to still grow. I got to still move on. I got to still lead this family. I told him I forgive him. You put the video out, whatever. The healing is not necessarily for him. It's for me, as for me and my family, and how we move forward. And it is difficult moving forward when you have built these relationships with people, right? But then it is shattered. Yes, I have my part in it, but it was like, yo, from the beginning, bro, you kind of came at me. You know what I'm saying? That hindsight 2020. And that's just what I want to say as for testifying of an eyewitness. Oh, man, this is how he dealt with me. And then you can't say nothing else. You would only have to come and say, bro, I told the truth about how you done that. You're surprised that Brother Daniel just came and told me you ain't gonna be on the land. Bro, it was from you.
Now you think about one statement, like you just said. I was surprised. What do you mean? Oh, he just told you that? Oh, you can't be. That's not how we operate. From one statement that was a flat out lie.
Straight lie.
That was a flat out lie from one statement. Look at the damage from the onset that was started. You see? But hey, we're not gonna sit here and beat a dead horse. I will say this and make sure it's done publicly. And man, Brandon, your family is still a topic of conversation. The children here, like I expressed always, they'll come to me and they'll wonder, and Bryson, I wonder what Benji, I wonder what Tyson doing, and there's nothing here that this community holds against you or your family whatsoever at all. I know y'all down there, y'all getting to it, y'all busy. But I will say this, if there was ever anything that you need help with any time, you know my number. You can pick it up and call me. And not only that, we'd love to see y'all, fellowship with y'all at any given time permits, any of that.
Yes,
you know, so bless y'all, man. Bless y'all abundantly.
I say same here. You know, like I said, I hate that how everything transpired. I really felt the connection with you brothers. You know, I really think that what we had was authentic. It was something that was real off of first meeting you, talking with you. I think it was authentic. I think that it has been definitely been bitten, you know what I mean, where it made me look at you at a different light. It made me judge you at a different light because I thought it was coming from you and Pastor Dowell. And I would say that I definitely did judge you off of slight of what I thought that you had done. I really do. And I'm willing to make amends and move and hold things. So I think that thing. If anything help with anything, bring any type of positive, anything I can do. Well,
it's kind of breaking up a little bit again.
I'm just going on the record to say if there's anything that the same thing going on record, just saying, all is under the bridge. Nor do I hold anything to my heart that is negative against you or that community or any of the brothers. Right, for all of them to hear this. If there's anything that needs to be extended out, of hey man, call Brother Brandon to do this. You know, brother, I'll be there. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot of work on the land that I got to do, but I extend my hand and I extend my olive branch. I extend everything to say, hey man, all is well, all is good. It all, I believe, worked out for the glory of Yah. It has been very, very, very hard, and we've all had to grow. But I have nothing ill will towards you or that community. All I am away. I'm a phone call just about away. You know what I'm saying? So blessing to you and your community. I hold no ill will to you, to that community, and I send nothing but blessings, honor, with y'all already have. So bless you, brother.
Hey, bless you, man. Good interview, man, and looking forward to hearing from you. And yes, I know we'll continue to speak, man, because you know I'm gonna reach out to you. But bless you.
Yes, sir.
Bless your whole house, man. And hey, there's been a very interesting, very, very interesting interview. But again, it was put out there for the purpose of truth and eyewitness accounts being put out there. So bless you. Bless all y'all that will come across this. Bless all y'all. Shalom.